The Blue Jackets are making people sad again, so I thought today let's look at some players in the Blue Jackets system that aren't making people sad. It is a prospect watch episode of Locked On Blue Jackets.
You're Locked On Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host Jay Foster, here to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly about your favorite team and mine, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Before we get started, I want to thank everyone for making this your first listen of the day every single day. Locked On Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms and over on YouTube. I also have to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and if it wins, you get $150 in bonus bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. Like I said at the top of the show, we are not talking about the Blue Jackets today. We're talking about some baby Blue Jackets, some future Blue Jackets, if you will, some baby jackets, perhaps. I thought I would check in with some of the prospects. I thought I would check in with the AHL team because quite a few of these things are going much better than the Blue Jackets. November is happening. The Monsters, which we're going to talk about in the first segment, maybe the second segment as well, depending on how much Monsters talk there is. And then there's a couple of guys that are playing in the OHL, the WHL, the NCAA over in Europe that I wanted to kind of highlight as well, that are having pretty good starts to the season. I thought it would be fun to check in on the kids because the Blue Jackets have a lot of them and they're doing pretty well. I want to start off with the Monsters, who have really kind of turned things around. They had like a rough start to the season, if I'm not mistaken. They lost, I think, like 4 out of the first 5 games of the season or something like that. I'm just pulling up the actual numbers right now, but they've turned it around in a big way. They are currently sitting second in the division behind only the Laval Rocket, who are on absolute fire to start the season. The Monsters are 8-4-0-1, so 8 wins, 4 losses, 0 overtime losses, and 1 shootout loss. They've got a 654 points percentage, and they are 7-2-0-1 in their last 10 games. This is great. They're on a 4-game winning streak right now, knock on wood. They just finished their kind of weekend with a big win over the Toronto Marlies in overtime. They are business as usual, it seems like. They started their season with a loss, and then they again, October was kind of weird and rough. They went 2-3 in October, and then since November has started, they've won 6 out of the 7 games in November so far. So again, things are going pretty good for the Monsters. They're playing Providence this upcoming weekend. Providence is doing fine, middle of the pack for the Atlantic Division. But there's a lot of Monsters that are having individual very good seasons. So I want to kind of talk about a couple of those guys. Some of them I don't think are technically Blue Jackets prospects, but one of them I think could be, depending on how this kind of season goes for him. But let's start at the top, because they've got 2 guys tied for the lead in scoring. They've got Treyfix Wolanski, everyone knows, everyone loves, has 12 points, 5 goals, 7 assists in 13 games. And also Owen Sillinger, older brother of Cole Sillinger, on the strength of his play last season. He ended up getting an NHL entry-level contract this season. Made a good go of that kind of bottom 6 role. I was wondering if he might kind of make it. Didn't end up doing that. Obviously, they had to pick up some guys. They had to move some stuff around. He got sent down to the Monsters. That's fine. But again, he's also got 5 goals and 7 points in 13 games. This guy is, and I've talked about him on the show before, he is the Boone Jenner of the Cleveland Monsters. You know, you put him here, you put him in anywhere in the lineup, and this guy will crash, he will bang, he will find a way to succeed. Really, really fun player to watch. Not technically, I guess you could consider him a Blue Jackets prospect. He's right up on the cusp of like age for a prospect. I think he's, I want to say 26, potentially 27. I think he maybe just turned 27. So like, I don't know that I would consider him a prospect, but after having 36 points in 72 games last season, he's already got 40 points in 69 games last season. I had the thing upside down. He's already got 12 and 13 to start this season. Career high of 11 goals, and he is well on pace to smash that. So those are the guys that are really driving the bus for the Monsters right now. I want to give a shout out to Rocco Grimaldi, who has 11 points in 9 games. I don't know that he technically has a contract with the Monsters yet. He signed a PTO, and I don't think that they've actually given him a real contract yet, which is quite funny. But he, again, like, this was a guy that I really wanted the Monsters to pick up. He ended up going, I want to say, to Carolina for a PTO. They released him. He kind of floated around, ended up in Cleveland, still hasn't signed an actual contract, but is killing it for the Monsters, is a really good veteran presence, which is something the Monsters needed. They lost a lot of their veterans this season, or this off season, or not like aged veterans by any stretch of the imagination, but like Brendan Gordon went somewhere else. Josh Dunn, who was a big part of this team, went somewhere else. Carson Meyer went somewhere else. Like, a lot of guys went elsewhere, so they brought in someone like Rocco Grimaldi, and again, he's been doing really great. The main guy that I wanted to talk about, though, is, let's be honest, the reason that everyone is the reason anyone cares about the Monsters. Maybe that's harsh. Denda Matejchuk is doing fantastically well for the Monsters this season. He's got 11 points in 13 games as a rookie defenseman. I'm just pulling up where that sits in all scoring among defensemen. He's leading leading Monsters defenseman, in scoring, and it's good for tied for third in AHL defenseman. The only defenseman with more points than him is Luca Cagnoni out of San Jose, also a rookie, by the way. And then Logan Mailloux and Trevor Carrick. Trevor Carrick also has 11 points. Logan Mailloux has 12 points in 7 games for Laval. So, again, a really, really great start to a rookie season from Matejchuk. It's tough. I'm not going to say that he looks like he's too good for this league, because I think it's important that he is down there. And again, like, we've seen the Jiricek of it all this season so far. Like, you can't tell me that they wouldn't be doing the same thing to Denda Matejchuk. Like, keep him in Cleveland, let him play, let him build up his confidence, let him build up some steam, and hopefully give him a nice long run at the Calder Cup at the end of it as well. I'm going to knock on wood, because it's still very, very early days. But again, the Monsters look like they're trending along quite well. Goaltending is about as solid as it's ever been. You know how much I love Jet Greaves. He's, again, continuing to put in the work for this team. He has a .907 save percentage on the season so far. He's only 3-3-1, which is maybe a little bit concerning, but like, he's the numbers are in his favor. He's got good individual numbers. The team around him doesn't. Like, it seems like it's been struggling a little bit in those games. Zach Sorchenko, who they brought in to back him up, also doing quite well, is 4-1 on the season, and has a .901 save percentage. So, like, the goaltending in Cleveland is spot on. Love it. No complaints. I expect Jet Greaves, I feel like, had a slow start to the season as well. So this is him kind of building back up. I'm just pulling up his numbers. He lost his first 3 starts. Allowed 7 goals in the home opener against Hershey. Got pulled halfway through his second game. Allowed 4 goals in his third game. And since then has really shut it down. He's 3-1 in his last 4 games and has a .926, a .917, a .944, and he just got done with a shutout of Utica. Utica struggling at the minute, but hey, a shutout is a shutout. Made all 27 saves on the night. So absolutely no issues with what's going on with Jet Greaves. Again, if the Blue Jackets are bumming you out right now, which understandable, quite honestly, watch the Monsters instead. A lot of future Blue Jackets on that team. Like, I didn't even really get a chance to talk about guys like Luca Del Bel-Belluz, James Malatesta. Who else am I missing? Stanislav Svozil. Like, again, Roman Ishard, not technically a Blue Jackets prospect. I don't even think he has an NHL deal necessarily. But he's got 8 points in 13 games as an undrafted, I think a college free agent signing. Had 19 points in 52 games last season, already has 8 in 13 this season, and has been a big goal scorer for this team. Like I said, he's got 7 goals and 1 assist, which is some Kirill Marchenko numbers, and is in fact leading all monsters in goals right now. If not in points, he is leading them in goals. Like I said, he's got 7 in 13 games, so he's doing just fine. I wouldn't be surprised if he potentially gets like the Owen Sillinger treatment at the end of the season of maybe, hey, we'll give you a 2-way 1-year entry-level deal, and it adds some flexibility to the roster for the Blue Jackets. It rewards a player for doing well at the AHL level. So, like, again, no complaints with what's happening in Cleveland right now. Hopefully they keep it up. Let's take another quick break. Let's take a first quick break. And then I want to talk about some of the guys that are lighting it up in the CHL right now, because there's a couple of guys that I really want to talk about, and then a goalie who, as we all know, let's talk about goalies. So that's what we're going to do in just a second here on Locked On Blue Jackets. First, I got to tell you about FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. All you have to do is find the heaviest favorite you possibly can, put $5 on it, and if it goes through, then you're going to get $150 that you can spend on whatever you want on FanDuel. And FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, you can do live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You don't need to have, 17 different ESPN tabs open. You don't have to go to NHL.com and check out what's going on there. It's all on FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. Again, if you win your first $5 bet, you're going to get $150 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. I've also got to tell you about SelectQuote, the World Series, the Super Bowl, the Olympics. The world's top athletes get to play in these top-level sporting events thanks to one thing: teamwork. Teamwork can also protect your financial legacy and your family's future. SelectQuote's licensed insurance agents are the perfect teammates when shopping for customized, affordable life insurance. They can find you the right policy to keep your financial legacy safely in your family's end zone. SelectQuote is one of America's leading insurance brokers. They've got nearly 40 years of experience and have helped over 2 million customers find over $700 billion in coverage since 1985. Other insurance brokers offer impersonal, one-size-fits-all policies that might cost you more but cover you less. But SelectQuote's licensed insurance agents work for you, and they will tailor a life insurance policy for your individual needs in as few as 15 minutes. You invest so much time to take care of yourself and to be the healthiest, best version of you, and SelectQuote's exclusive policies can reward that effort. If you're in good health, they work with carriers that can get you same-day coverage for up to $5 million, no medical exam required, and you can get coverage for up to $1 million for as little as $20 a month. So head on over to SelectQuote.com, and a licensed insurance agent will call you right back with the right policy for your life and your budget. SelectQuote. They shop, you save. Get the right life insurance for you at less. Get the right life insurance for you for less at select.com/lockedonnhl. That's selectquote.com/LOCKEDON NHL today to get started. Selectquote.com/lockedonnhl. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. We're talking about the prospect today because there are a lot of them that are having quite good starts to the season. We're going to start off over in the OHL, and we're going to take a look at a couple of Lucas, because the Blue Jackets apparently just love to draft guys called Luca, which I do think is fun. I would love for us to somehow at some point get, in the same way that I would love like an all Michigan starting lineup, I would love an all Luca starting lineup. They've got 2 forwards and a defenseman at the minute, so they really only need another defenseman and another forward, potentially a goalie if you're feeling fancy about it. But Luca Marrelli is the guy to watch for the OHL right now, for Blue Jackets fans anyway. A 4th round draft pick for the Blue Jackets, a defenseman, currently playing for the Oshawa Generals. He has 25 points in 19 games so far. Again, as a defenseman. He has the same number of points, actually, as Sam Dickinson, who is leading all OHL defensemen in scoring. Dickinson is just doing it in slightly fewer games. So Dickinson has 25 in 15. Marrelli has 25 in 19. Sam Dickinson went 11th overall. Luca Marrelli went, 54th overall, or something like that. He's leading the Oshawa Generals in scoring. Like I said, he is second in defensive scoring across the OHL, having a pretty darn good start to the season for a team that doesn't have a ton of NHL draft picks on there. They do notably have Beckett Seneca, who went third overall. They've got a couple of other guys there as well. But the start that Luca Marrelli is having to the season has been so fun to watch that it makes me wonder, do the Blue Jackets know what they have in this kid? He was drafted for being big and being good at skating, but he can put the puck in the net. He can do all kinds of things, apparently. And like I said, he is leading his team in scoring right now. No one in the Oshawa Generals, forward or otherwise, has more points than him. And in fact, second place is Beckett Seneca himself, who has 23 points. So he is actually outperforming the third overall forward pick this season right now. That probably won't change. That probably will change. That probably won't last, but it is a lot of fun to look at right now, honestly. The other player on this list to really keep an eye on, and I'm just looking at the OHL scoring race at the minute, is also leading his team. We've got Luca Pinelli, who has 24 points in 16 games for the Ottawa 67s. I believe Pinelli is still wearing the C for them. He did that last season. And again, he just continues to impress. He, I believe, was also a fourth round pick, but was someone that a lot of scouts that I talked to, I had him kind of in the first, potentially the late, the early second round, leading his team by 6 points clear. Second place is Cooper Foster, who has 18 points in 17 games. Pinelli has 15 goals on the season. I believe he already has 2 hat tricks on the season, which is just extremely disrespectful. And he is, if I just flip the scoring thing here, I believe he's third or fourth in goals on the in the entire OHL as well. Again, that's 2 fourth-round picks for the Blue Jackets that are in the top 15 of OHL scoring, and it's the OHL is a tough league to score in, So shout out to those guys. I want to give one last CHL shout out to a goaltender, actually. Evan Gardner, second round pick. Had him on the show, actually. Delightful to talk to. Really nice young kid. Has a .913 save percentage to start the season. He's 7-4-1 for the Saskatoon Blades, and already has 1 shutout. And he's doing that as a guy who, at the start of his D-1 year, was not actually a starting goalie in the WHL. His D-2 year, he actually got sent back to midget. Last season, he was with the WHL, the Blades, and took over. He decided that he was the starter about halfway through the season, and decided that was what he was going to do. And it looks like he's continuing on for the Blades in this regard. Like I said, 7-4-1 to start the season off. I hope is up there in terms of goalie stats. Elite prospect is kind of hard to pass sometimes, but a really, really great start to his season for Evan Gardner. Again, second round draft pick. Taking a goalie in the second round is always going to be risky, but it looks like it might be paying off right now. I'm looking for goaltending leaders. Here we go. He's second in the entire OHL in save percentage, which frankly is the only, not the only useful, but it is the most useful of the commercially available stats. Tied with Alex Worthington of the Edmonton Oil Kings, but the only player that's doing better than him is Jesse Sanchez of the Everett Silvertips, who has a .915 save percentage. So, it really is. Gardner has played 2 fewer games and allowed 4 more goals, excuse me. And has also faced 80 fewer shots. So, it's all good news. There's a lot of, but the potential there is limitless, and I know that potential is basically worthless unless you follow through on that, but it looks like Gardner is having a really, really great start to his season. He's a really fun goalie to watch as well. I haven't had a chance to watch a lot of the Blades this season just because, time zones are difficult, but he's fun to watch. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but again, a great skater, uses his reactions well, is really kind of chill in net, which is kind of nice to watch after a few seasons of watching some of the more flaily goalies, let's say, or reactionary goalies is probably a nicer way to put it. But those are the 3 guys from the CHL that I want to watch. Honorable mention to Tyler Peddle, who is a 7th round draft pick, who is, I believe, third on the Blue Jackets, third in the Blue Jacket system. He's got 15 points in 18 games for the St. John Sea Dogs right now. Just going to really quickly look to see that team is not doing great, but Peddle is currently tied for third in scoring on the team. So it is what it is, and again, this is a team that doesn't have a ton of NHL talent on it, or NHL drafted talent. There's only 3 drafted players on the entire roster, so team not great. Tyler Peddle is doing the best he can to really lean in and make something. And again, a kid that is a 7th round draft pick, was I believe the last pick in the draft a couple of years ago. So honorable mention to him. I want to take one more quick break, and then I want to talk about a couple of guys that are getting it done over in Europe and the KHL. So we'll do that in just a second here on Locked On Blue Jackets. First, I've got to tell you about Prize Picks. What is Prize Picks? Well, it's the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to everyone. All you've got to do is pick more or less than at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash, so you can run your game all season long on Prize Picks. It is, like I said, the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states as well. They're available in places like California, Florida, Georgia, Texas, places that this kind of thing isn't normally available. So get in on the ground floor while you can, and it's the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first quarter and doesn't return, PrizePicks keeps your lineup live. And they now offer Venmo, so your quick and easy deposits and withdrawals are even quicker and easier. Sign up today, get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Go to prizepicks.com or download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, that is code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. Let's finish up today by touching on a couple of guys that are doing pretty well for themselves over in the KHL. So one guy that I wanted to focus on at first is Oiva Keskinen, who was I believe a 5th or 6th round draft pick. He was a 7th round pick, actually, in the 2023 draft. He had 27 points in 54 games in the Liga last year, which is the top Finnish league, and that's a tough league to play in. Had 9 points in 16 games as an 18-year-old in the playoffs, and seems to be picking up where he left off, except better. He is 20 years old, just turned 20. I say just turned 20. He's about to turn 21 in February upcoming. 13 points in 19 games so far, 4 goals, projected to have a 40-point season again, as a 20-year-old in the Liga, in men's hockey. So again, this is a guy that if he hits, or if you get anything out of Keskinen, like it's found money, basically, in the same way that, like, I feel this way about Trey Fix-Wolansky a lot, is people get frustrated by him and don't figure, and like, he's not an NHL player and he's never going to be an NHL player. But like, when you look at where he was drafted and you look at what he's achieved, to even play NHL hockey after being a 7th round draft pick who is like 5'6", incredible achievement. I think he's officially 5'10", but I've stood next to Trey Fix-Wolansky. He is not 5'10". But he is kind of that archetype of, well, if he played one NHL game, that would be enough, And if you get any NHL games out of a 7th round draft pick, like, that's a victory. That's a win for that pick. My guess is Keskinen might come over, probably not this season, maybe next season with the Monsters. Will he stick it out? I don't know, but like, his numbers in the Liga are good, and the Liga is not as good of a league as the AHL, for example, but it is still a very reputable league to play in, and especially as a young player, it'll be fun to see what comes of Keskinen, because he was a guy that, again, when the Blue Jackets drafted him, he was the one guy that was they had I think they drafted 8 or 9 guys in that draft. It would have been the 2023 draft. They drafted a bunch of guys. And I knew a little bit about most of them, and the ones that I didn't know about, I could like find people who did. Keskinen was the one guy where a lot of people were really like, man, I don't really know much about this guy. I haven't seen him play. Like, I don't know much about him. Which made me think, oh, okay, maybe that's just you throw a dart at a wall type pick. But again, 13 points in 19 games is not nothing. So I'm intrigued to see if the Blue Jackets have something with Keskinen that no other team kind of picked up. We've seen it before, not necessarily with the Blue Jackets, but with other teams where they've like picked a guy in, the 7th round, and he's turned into a superstar and has turned into a guy that, plays 1,000 games in the NHL. Do I think that's going to happen with Keskinen? No, but I'm really interested to see how his career goes, because maybe it goes nowhere, but maybe it goes somewhere, The other guy I just wanted to highlight here is Sergei Ivanov, who is the goaltender for HK Sochi over in the KHL, was a 2022 5th-round pick by the Blue Jackets, and then proceeded to just beat up on the KHL, basically since getting drafted. He is, where is it? He made his KHL debut, played his first game in his draft year, in his D+1 year, excuse me. Played 5 games for SKA St. Petersburg and had a .957 save percentage. And since then, the only season, or the only season and league in which he's had a below 900 save percentage is last season. He played 1 game for SKA neighbor St. Petersburg in the VHL. He won the game and he had an .889 save percentage, because I guess he faced like 29 shots and let in 3. But last season, played 3 games with SK St. Petersburg, had a .957 save percentage, played 33 games with Admiral Vladivostok as a lone player in the KHL, had a .928 save percentage. To start the season this year, he's got a .911 save percentage in 18 games with HK Sochi, also alone. SK St. Petersburg still owns his rights, but he's doing all of this as a 6-foot goalie who is 20 years old. So, like, he's been putting up these numbers in men's hockey since he was barely 18. And I think that's the really interesting thing about him, and the really exciting thing is, and like, scouting goalies is kind of witchcraft and voodoo, and everyone likes to do something differently, and there's not like a real, this is how you scout a goalie, and this is what to look for, because again, everyone like looks for different things, but I was talking to my friend Will Scouch, who is one of the prospect guys whose opinions I value maybe more than almost anyone else when it comes to prospect stuff. And I was like, how do you scout goalies? And he was like, well, I don't know anything about goalies, but what I start off looking at is, do they stop the puck at every single level of the game that they've played? And if they do, typically they turn into a pretty good goalie. Like he always talks about, I believe it's Ryan Miller is the name that always comes up. Ryan Miller was drafted out of high school hockey, but he stopped the puck at that level. And then he stopped the puck at the next level. And then he kept stopping the puck until, he's the winningest American-born goalie of all time, I believe. Or is, for now anyway. He might have been overtaken. I don't think he's been overtaken yet. He probably will be because Connor Hellebuyck is doing Connor Hellebuyck things. But, so that's something I always look at is, how do you know if a goalie's going to do something? It's well, is he stopping the puck? And if he's stopping the puck at basically every level that he's played at, there's something there, Goalies take a little bit longer to develop than all other players. So I'm not expecting to see him anytime soon. Daniil Tarasov, I believe, was 22 or 23 when he came over from the KHL. That's about the timeline that I'm expecting here. So my guess is 2, maybe 3 more years in the KHL, and then he'll make the jump over. Depends on what the Blue Jackets goaltending looks like at the time. Depends on what his goaltending looks like at the time. But if I had to pick a low-key prospect to watch for the Blue Jackets, it's this guy. I am the number 1 Sergei Ivanov defender. And I really, really want to see if he can succeed in North America, because I think it's going to be and also a tandem of Ivanov and Jet Greaves, both of whom are listed at 6 foot, is a really fun goalie tandem, because I like we're seeing this kind of short goalie renaissance at the minute. Justin Wolf is playing fantastically over in Calgary. UC Saros is kind of the blueprint for that. So seeing Jet Greaves succeed and seeing Sergei Ivanov succeed is really fun for me, a goalie who never hit 6 foot tall. So that's kind of it for the prospects that I wanted to talk about. I'm just going to do a real quick scroll to make sure that I haven't missed anyone that I really wanted to talk about. There's a couple of KHL guys that Kirill Dolzhenkov and Nikolai Makarov are both still kicking about. They've both gone down to the VHL this season, which probably doesn't bode well. Again, we might see them, we might not. Luke Ashton is another interesting name. I didn't really go into the NCAA because the Blue Jackets don't have a ton of NCAA prospects at the minute. They've all kind of graduated out of that. He's playing at Minnesota State University in Mankato as a defenseman. He's got 5 points in 12 games, and he's another interesting name because he is another 7th round draft pick, or excuse me, he was a 6th round draft pick out of the BCHL, where he had 36 points in 53 games as a 17-year-old. As a 18-year-old, excuse me. So again, he's a guy that, will he turn into anything? Probably not, but he's a name to keep an eye on, and he's having a pretty good start over in Minnesota State as well. So that's kind of it for today. Tomorrow, unfortunately, the rules say that we have to pay attention to the Pittsburgh Penguins. So we'll take a look at how they're doing. I believe they lost last night in overtime to the Red Wings. We'll break down the game preview for you, I guess. Can the Blue Jackets finally figure out how to win a game in the month of November? We'll find out. Thank you for listening, for making this your first listen of the day every single day. Locked On Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms, over on YouTube and on SiriusXM. Thank you for listening. I've been Jay Foster. You can find me on Twitter at _Jacob Foster, JAKOBFORSTER. You can find the show at LO_Blue Jackets. If you have comments, questions, criticisms, email me at lockedonbluejackets@gmail.com. And until tomorrow, make sure you stay locked on.